Cyberbrainer is an online training platform designed to help individuals and teams learn the latest technologies and become certified professionals, producing a comprehensive learning experience.
So now let me just open any of these business object that we have over here. Let me open a name, or let me open worker business object. Worker is just for all your information. All of you is. The information is like. Worker business object is one of the primary business object which we use for multiple reporting purposes, and any employee relevant information is always going to be available as a part of the worker. So that is why any employee or worker related report that you are going to be building, you need to build that particular report on the worker business object because it is going to contain a whole host of information. Everything that you need about a worker is going to be available in the worker business object. So please do make a note of it, so that in your reporting session you are going to be using it. So let's just wait for this to load. Like I said, text is going to be any field which is going to contain text-related information, be it alpha or numeric. It can contain both alpha as well as numeric. That's why we call it as a text field type. Next, a numeric. As you all might know, numeric is going to contain only number information, so it can contain only numeric values. It cannot contain alphabets. It can contain only number information. For example, your age is an example for a numeric field. So, and then next, we saw all about date. Next is going to be Boolean. Boolean is a special type of field which is available, and it can have only two values. It can have only two values, which is going to be either true or false, or we can call it also as a binary variable, which means it can have only two values, one is going to be true or another is going to be false. An example is if I'm going to create a new field which is going to say, is the person over 18 years of age, which is the legal permitted age for working, I'm going to create a field which is going to say, is the person above the legal age to work or not? And the answer could be obviously only yes or no. It can only be either yes or a no, that's all it can be. So that's what we call that particular field type as a Boolean field. Alright, clear thus far. These are primitive variables which you might have experienced in any programming language. If you have come across that. Alright. So, like I said over here in the worker business object, if I come across the field type, an example, a number of hires, I will have it as numeric and I can have so many other fields by currency, like your. Like I said, the salary is always your currency field, and today, if you want to go as an activity, you can explore the business object worker business object and you can find all the different field types as well. Before we come to single and multi-instance field. Now let me pull in a single instance field. And okay for a single. Okay, let me pick something which is going to be precise for a single instance, field, session, date, activity. Okay, alright, this seems to be precise. Okay, alright, so let me open the supervisory organization itself. Now I'm just picking. I'm going to be explaining next about a single instance field. For that what I'm taking is assignable role as a sample one over here, and for that let me open a random support opening area test supervisory organization that I created. I go across two roles and over here, if you see this entire thing, we call it as an assignment or an instance, which is going to be a combination of assignable role, whom it is assigned to, and the role from this entire information we call it as an instance. So an instance of the supervisory arc test, Arian BP1 is going to be. Assignable role is 2019 manager. It is assigned to Carolee and Jamie Stone, and it is assigned from default position and default role and not from any kind of inheritance or something. Alright. This, we call it as an instance to first instance, means any kind of a combination of a value for any event. Here we have taken an assignable role as an instance, and we call it as a single instance because this is going to contain a single combination of a value specific to my supervisory organization, which is test Arian BP1. Are we good? Or let me take even one more example that I can just put it over here as well, since a role might be a little bit confusing. Okay. Alright. So if I take a background check now for any person, we are going to have a background check which is completed before a hire process for every employee. The organization for their requirements is going to have a background check initiated for that employee, and the results for that will also come in. Most of the organizations may hire a third-party background check vendor, like Sterling's or so many other vendors which are available in the market commonly. They may hire one or more of them and get the particular status. So over here, the field which is called as background check is going to actually return the most recent background check for the worker, and it does not return any of the background check business process event. It is only going to contain the background check instance, which is the most recent one. It is not going to return multiple values, whatever was the recent background check which was completed for that particular worker. It is going to return that, say, for example, if there are going to be multiple background checks initiated for the same person, this particular background check field is not going to return multiple values, but instead it's going to return only one single value, which we call it as the most recent one. And that particular field we call it as an instance because it is going to contain more than one values for that particular event, which we define it as instance. Are you guys with me? Why we call it as an instance? Why we call it as an instance? Because it is going to return the collection of values at that point of a time. So if you have, for example, if I say background check, it is going to contain in all the information relevant to the most recent background check, which could be, what is the background check vendor name, the name of the person for which this background check has been initiated. For example, are joining an organization? And for Arian, a background check has been initiated by, say, a company like Google or Facebook. It is going to contain. This particular instance is going to say, Arian, he's going to join the organization Google, and if he's going to be initiating a background check with a background vendor called a Sterling, and what is the status of that particular background check? It could be like a pass-failed, or it could be like need more information. Information which is supplied by the worker is insufficient. Any of those statuses can be available in that. So an instance, in a nutshell, is going to be like a collection, and if it is going to have only one instance which is relevant to any specific fixed point of a time, I call it as a single instance. Are you guys with me? Is it clear what exactly is meant by a single instance? Field instance is nothing but whatever is the collection or details of a specific instance or a specific event at any instance of time. That's what I call it as a single instance field. Now if I say now just compare the difference between a primary position's location and all locations. All locations, the first up for your primary position. It can be based out of only one location. And talking about the mapping between a position and a location, this particular position, I am saying it is going to have only one primary location. Of course, I can have alternate locations, but your primary location is going to remain only one. It's going to be based on whether New York or San Francisco, or London or Paris or whatever it is, but there's going to be only one location. Overall, it's not going to be multiple locations, so I say the location primary position is going to be just one. That is why I call this as a single instance field. Now over here. Look at this returns all the location for the worker's primary and additional position, including active and inactive locations. Makes sense to you why all locations is a multi-instance field, and I'm just trying to zoom this so that you can look at the icon over here. See this particular icon over here? This is like a single D with multiple branching. That is why we call it as a multi-instance field. Whereas if I go to the primary location, primary positions location, this is the icon for a normal single instance field where there's going to be a D, and there's going to be only one branching. That is the specific icon for a single instance field. Clear on this? What is actually the distinction between the two and how this works and why all locations is going to be a multi-instance, whereas your primary position's location is going to be a single instance field. And when I say instance, I'm just repeating, it's not going to be just, it is not going to be just one field information, it's going to be a collection or it could even possibly be an entire business object. Instance was, it is either a collection or it could well be a business object, another business object like worker or local. Location, which are again business objects. But I can get it as an instance. Alright, now if I say I'm going to return the worker's business object, which means the